Good afternoon, everyone. The Sacramento City Council will please come to order. Would the clerk please call the roll and let's establish a quorum.
Councilmember Warren.
Here.
Councilmember Harris.
Here.
Councilmember Jennings.
Here.
Councilmember Guerra.
Here.
Councilmember Chenier.
Here.
For the record, Councilmember Carr will be absent this evening, but I do expect Councilmember Ashby and Vice Mayor Hanson. Oh, Councilmember Ashby is here. Thank
Okay.
you.
Very good. Welcome to everybody. Let us begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. All rise. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much to the members of the public who are here tonight and those watching on cable television. Without objection, we're going to pull item 15 from the agenda tonight to be re-agendized at a future date. All right? Let us begin with special presentations. I think I have an issue here with Sergeant Galliano. There's an issue. We got an issue, and I think he needs to come up here, please. like to turn it over to Councilmember Harris, please, to deal with the issue.
So, thank you, Mayor. Greg, I'm still having a bunch of issues with homeless people. You know, the Parkway is really a tough thing in the River District, but actually that's not why you're standing there.
Thank God.
So this young man has done so much for the city in terms of helping us with our homelessness issues, and he has taken a new rotation. He's no longer going to be leading the impact team. But you've been so valuable to me in District 3 and citywide that I felt compelled to do a little something here for you. So we created a resolution. Usually I don't read these things because they're kind of lengthy, but this one deserves to be read. So here we are recognizing Sergeant Greg Galliano. Whereas Greg has served the city of Sacramento as a police officer since 2006, and whereas Greg Galliano has positively impacted the city of Sacramento through his leadership and directorship of the impact team since his promotion to sergeant in 2015, whereas Sacramento is home to thousands of individuals who are experiencing homelessness, as a result, the Sacramento Police Department has been the city's primary response to homelessness, and that's true. Sergeant Galliano was heavily relied upon by the city and department leaders to craft short and long-term solutions. And whereas Sergeant Galliano was instrumental in implementing the structural design for the city of Sacramento's whole-person care pilot and played a significant role in facilitating a partnership between Sacramento Covered and the city's impact team to assure assertive outreach was effectively integrated into the homeless system of care, as well as navigating people to our triage center, and as well as ensuring the overall success of the program. Whereas Sergeant Galliano was recognized as a leader in homeless response for police departments at a statewide conference, and whereas Sergeant Galliano has demonstrated extraordinary leadership skills and exceeded expectations by going beyond the role of a peace officer to ensure compassionate policing and collaborative outreach in helping one of Sacramento's most vulnerable populations connect with supportive services necessary to end their cycle of homelessness. And there's one more. Whereas Sergeant Galliano has been nothing short of phenomenal in his position on the impact team, he is hardworking, innovative, and dedicated to reducing homelessness and its effects on the community. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the City of Sacramento that we do hereby recognize Sergeant Greg Galliano for his outstanding service to our community and the City of Sacramento and his commitment to building stronger communities. So, Greg, maybe you'd like to say something? In other words, We like you a lot.
I don't know how to follow that. I'm not sure all of it's, 100%. But it was an honor and a privilege to be a part of the impact team in this program. And it was an honor and a privilege to serve our city in a new way. And thank you so much for that and the support, the great officers and the great department I was honored to be a part of, and the great community members. So thank you so much for all of that. I truly appreciate it, and I don't know what else to say. That's
you got
great.
one or two other comments before you present it there, Jeff, if that's okay.
Very good.
Councilmember Ashby.
Yeah, I just wanted to also say great work, and that I know you have a very high-profile position as you work on this unit, but he's also been an officer in our department for a long time, and before being a sergeant, really already had a reputation for having a great personality. That's why he was selected for this position, because he has the perfect, as Councilmember Harris has described, he has the perfect disposition to deal with really difficult confrontations and treat people with a lot of dignity and respect. And so I think you have been an outstanding officer and outstanding sergeant even before you were serving in this capacity. And I know it's exciting to see what you'll do now. You're headed to POP, right?
Yes.
In the South area, and that'll be a different kind of challenge for you, but I'm sure you will excel there just as you have in every position that we have thrown at you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for the support.
Excellent. Councilman Chenier.
Thanks. I just want to say thank you for the work you've done. I think the compassion that you've shown in how you deal with the job is really exemplary and what we should be about as we deal with this challenge. So best of luck. And who is going to be filling these large shoes?
That will be Sergeant Bill Wan, the former SEPTED sergeant.
Oh, great, great. Well, congratulations, and we'll look
Thank
forward
you.
to continuing to work with you.
Thank you. Councilmember Guetta.
I want to continue on the accolades here, and also Sergeant Galliano was recognized this last year with his team with the Power and Alliance for all the work he's done out in District 6, and more specifically, the taking the time every evening to go out and talk to our neighborhood associations and our neighborhood groups about the complexities of homelessness and all of the things that go into it, not just the interaction between law enforcement and the homeless community, but how complicated the issue really is. So thanks for the education part of it into the community, but more importantly, thanks for your service here to our city.
Thank you, sir.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Greg, if you will.
Greg.
I just have appreciated your attitude. You know, you had one of the hardest jobs trying to bring a human touch and really work with folks who need a tremendous amount. And you not only lived up to that, you exceeded it. And every time I saw you interact with somebody in need or worked with the community, it made me feel like starting this impact team was absolutely the right thing to do. And so you've served the department well, and I really appreciate all of your efforts.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Councilmember Jennings.
So I think there was one whereas that was missing. And it has to do with you moving to the South area, right?
Yes.
So can you be more specific about where in the South area that you're moving?
South of Broadway, everything in the city limits east of Highway 99. So part of all of your district, all of Councilman Carter's.
You can stop right there.
Yeah.
Right there. So say it one more time. All of whose district?
All of your district.
We are excited to have you for all the reasons that my colleagues have said already and the great work that you do. And the thing that impresses me the most about you is every time I see you, you bring a smile, and it's contagious. And everybody who's around you catches a hold of it. And so I am excited to do a whereas that you will now be coming to the South area where you will have a major impact on everyone that you touch. And I am looking forward to supporting you in any way possible as you've been supported by my colleagues in the past. So welcome, congratulations. We are excited and happy to have you.
Sir.
Thank you, Rick. And final comment, if I may. We are very proud of you, Greg, because you have addressed the city's most difficult problem in a way that is compassionate and effective. And I really think your experience can teach the community a lot about the complexity of modern-day policing. Because while there are a lot of improvements to be had and much work to do, the fact of the matter is I know when I've gone on my ride-alongs, when I've seen you work, that the work of a modern-day police officer is as much social worker, whether intended or not, but it's helping people with everyday problems. And there's certainly nothing more poignant or compelling than the plight of our homeless population. And in partnership with the other members of the whole person care team and the impact teams, you've really shown how to do it in the right way. I'd love to put the police department out of the business of having to be the first responders to this homeless problem. But until that day, we need more people like you. So thank you. Let's.
So, Mayor, just one final thought. What people don't know about Greg is that he's actually a brilliant public speaker. So, Rick, pay attention to that. If you need someone in your back pocket to take to a public forum, take Greg, because I've never seen a difficult crowd get managed better and come away smiling.
I offer you the gavel.
I'm good, thank you. That's okay. No, thank you.
So, Elisa and Zach, you just picked a winner.
Okay. Good. All right, we have a second resolution here. It's hard to believe that 50 years ago, in June of 1968, which we know was a tragic month actually for the country with the death of Robert F. Kennedy, it's hard to think that there was a time in our country where people could be discriminated against overtly because of their race when it comes to housing. But that was acceptable, not only by practice, but by law. Before President Johnson and the Congress passed the Fair Housing Act of 1968, which of course was preceded by the Civil Rights Act of 64 and the Voting Rights Act of 65, and other groundbreaking legislation around Medicare and other help for people in need during that period of time. And so 50 years later, I think it's fair to say we've made progress, but man, our work is far from done. Or there are still a lot of people out there that are hurting, and we have an obligation, of course, to be responsive to that pain through our acts and the public policies that we put forward. But tonight is a night we want to recognize the 50th anniversary of the Fair Housing Act. And this resolution I have recounts some of that history, and I will not read it all, 'cause I think I've just described it. But no longer is it permissible in this country, in any part of the country, to discriminate against people based upon their race, their religion, their gender, their national origin, their disability, their family status, age, source of income, sexual orientation, gender identity, marital status, immigration status, and first language. And that shows some change and some improvement. It's worth recognizing this history. Who am I presenting this resolution to? I do not know. To John Foley. Well, here's somebody who knows about housing barriers and how to overcome them. John, thank you for taking this resolution and making a few comments.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I thank you for your support for the Renters Helpline and our fair housing work with Project Sentinel. We found over the last year and a half that there are a number of apartment complexes that predominantly are renting to recent immigrants, and there seems to be real questions about the way they're treating people. So we had asked for, and you graciously allowed us a little bit of additional funding so that we can target some resources to investigate that and perhaps to make some changes in how people are being treated. There are many classes of folks that experience discrimination. Oddly enough, one of them is children. There are a number of apartment complexes we've found where children are being prevented from playing or leading a normal life. And Project Sentinel's been able to bring a couple of cases forward to try and get people to straighten up their act on that. So this work has a wide variety of applications and very important work, and we thank you for your support on it.
Thank you, John. Would you accept the resolution?
I'd be honored.
I'll come down and present it to you. Give John a hand.
All right.
I'm here.
We can do that. Let's do the consent calendar before we get to public comment on items not on the agenda. Again, item 15 has been pulled. Are there questions on items 1 through 14? You have two speakers. If no questions, let's hear from the two members of the public who want to speak on the consent calendar, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The first is Cassania Ursary on item 1, and then Julian, I want to say Slee on item 6. Is Cassania here?
Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
So good afternoon. The City of Sacramento African American Employee Council, also known as AELC, is a group of City of Sacramento employees that was formally organized in September 2016 for the purpose of addressing City of Sacramento diversity workforce issues. During our initial meetings, we identified a number of challenges and opportunities regarding the issues of fairness, equity, diversity, and inclusion within the city. Following discussions with our former mayor, Kevin Johnson, council members, and the city manager, AELC has recommended to council to implement the following initiatives and/or actions to improve diversity and inclusiveness within our workforce. These included hiring for a diversity manager, development of an inclusion plan forthcoming by the diversity manager, annual diversity audit updates, implicit bias training, treatment of staff policy. We are grateful to the council for listening and heeding our concerns, which is reflected in this policy, the policy of on treatment of staff recommended for adoption today. Specifically, we want to highlight the numbers 2, 3, 7, and 8 of the proposed policy, which directly reflect a lot of the proposals or recommendations that we've made. In addition, we believe that this is a perfect framework to assist the diversity manager when she or he is brought on board. In closing, AELC understands that we still have a long way to go, but we believe that the City of Sacramento is moving in the right direction, and in fact, we are leaving a legacy for our future generations. So we thank you for adopting the policy today.
Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Julian Slee.
Sure. Comment from Councilmember Harris.
Cassania, I just wanted to say I appreciate your sentiments, on the AELC And although Councilmember Carr couldn't be here today, I will relay your sentiment to him, because he was concerned about this issue. You know, we're working on these issues and trying to craft policy documents that reflect the needs of the city. So I appreciate your feedback.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Warren, did you want to speak now, or did you want to wait for the remaining public testimony? Okay, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I also, too, want to comment on this item that Sonia just spoke about, and just say that, you know, I'm proud of the city taking the next steps to correct some of the things that we've identified, in fact, that have been identified by members of our employee base, and I think that it was a long time actually overdue. And so hopefully with this new plan, we'll start to see a more equitable process for everybody within the city, and hopefully not have to come back to it. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Warren. Appreciate it. All right, let's hear from the other members of the public, please.
Next speaker is Julian, and this is on item 6.
Item 6.
Here to speak about the proposed Sacramento Tourism Infrastructure District. The proposal has identified approximately 227 hotels within the district. In fact, there are 1,000 Airbnbs within the area of Sacramento. So several hundred Airbnb hosts have received absolutely no communication on this issue whatsoever to date, which is problematic. The management structure, which is proposed via the Sacramento Hotel Association, currently there is no Airbnb host representation on the SHA, and the cost of joining the SHA is prohibitive to most Airbnb hosts. It would probably represent about a whole week's revenue just to join the SHA and have a say on it. I can see no compelling information that Airbnb hosts will receive any equitable benefit from the infrastructure district, and in fact allowing for extra administrative effort, I foresee many Airbnb hosts will be net losers. I've never hosted I'm Airbnb host. I've never hosted a single person that's attended any of the efforts that this infrastructure costs will be benefiting. So I've spoken with Airbnb staff, and they've indicated a willingness to work collaboratively to move this forward, but every Airbnb host that I've spoken to does not support this effort in any way, shape or form. At this stage, I'd request one of two things: that outreach be undertaken to all Airbnb hosts before Council moves forward with this, or alternatively, Airbnb hosts be excluded from the STID. I've also been advised that it's potentially illegal based on Proposition 1326 and 218.
Your time is complete. Would you make your final comment, please?
And I would refer City to Shapiro and City of San Diego.
Thank you. I have no more speakers, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Councilmember Chenier.
Thanks, Mayor. So what I'd like to do, I'm okay if we move this forward today, but I'd love to provide some direction. We've had good relationships with the Airbnb folks, and they have helped us on a number of occasions work through issues. So if we can do some outreach to them and see if we need to come back on this at all, I think that would be appropriate.
Okay, so then the consent calendar has been moved and has been seconded. If there are no further questions, again, item 15 has been pulled. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstain. Very good. The consent calendar passes on an 8-0 vote. Let's now take public testimony on items not on tonight's agenda. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 20 speakers for items not on the agenda. The first is Cynthia Kay, then Michael Voy, then Juve Spooner.
As you know, I speak for homeless seniors. It is a growing problem. I went to a meeting that the library had let's talk about homelessness. The speakers in charge of 2 major programs admitted they do not have anything actually set up for seniors. They didn't even realize until Winter Sanctuary that seniors had a problem. I've already been through Sacramento Step Forward. I've already talked with Volunteers of America. I've talked to many other programs. They aren't any help. I have been called, they want to put me in a grant home. Well, that's really great. I get to share a home with men and women. What I lack is the money for a deposit. What I lack is the income that is twice what rents are. There is no program that is going to help me as a senior. It is time that we start helping seniors. Seniors are running into this problem over and over again. There isn't enough housing. There isn't enough help out there for seniors. You need to do something for homeless seniors. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Michael Voy, then Juve Spooner, then Lindsay.
I'm just making a brief comment based on the market structure of the cannabis industry, because I've heard some people talk like and think like that the 30 dispensaries are a monopoly, and that just isn't the case. They're not a monopoly, and they really wouldn't make a very good cartel even. And the reason why I say that this is important is because if people are going to be paying $4 a square foot for rental, they need to understand what kind of market are we really operating in. And at best, it's monopolistic competition, but I want to talk a little bit about some things that keep it from becoming a cartel or a monopoly, and that there may not be these economic profits that people are looking for if they understand economic profit to begin with. This, just a couple of photographs from a recent LA Times. And this shows a photograph provided by the U.S. Attorney's Office that shows trash from illegal marijuana grow in Hayfork, Trinity County. And here we have McGregor Scott, the U.S. Attorney, and next to him is the Attorney General. So the state of California is the Attorney General for the state of California. So these two are working in together to try to deal with this illicit pot grow population. So one of the things that you're counting on is cutting out these illegal grows. Well, they're happening all over the state, and this talks about the fact that there's illegal marijuana growing by Mexican drug cartels. Until you eliminate all the illegal grows and all of the illegal marijuana being brought into the country, then you will not have control of anything. You won't have this cartel you're looking for.
Thank you, Mr. Voy.
I'll come back and comment on it again.
Thank you, Mr. Voy. Appreciate it.
The next speaker is Juve Spooner, then Lindsay, then Joyce Johnston.
Morning, good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Short and sweet, there's a saying. What is karma? Karma is something that when something happens, good or bad, comes back around. So no matter what, and hey, Alan, Mr. Allen, you asked me why do I always come here, and there's a saying, you don't give up even when you reach your goal, and my goal is to make sure that the people who took my best friend, my brother away from me, getting brought to justice, no, they won't just get fired. I want to see them wear them own jumpsuits. And I ain't talking about no dang orange t-shirt or nothing like that. Because short and sweet, no matter what, a killer is a killer. Badge or not. Just like for me, if I do something, I'm going to pay for it too. So I don't see what makes the difference between me and him. Just because someone has a badge and a gun, like NWA said, don't mean nothing. So, and then not to mention, hey, Schubert, do your dang job, push charges against us too. For as I'm concerned, this just stuff is just not fair. Because what's the saying? An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Well, there's a saying. Mother Carl and Jared Robinette. I wish y'all would come to my final cage fight. Step in the octagon, so then that way I can do what I want to without going to jail for unleashing hell on you guys.
My next speaker is Lindsay, then Joyce Johnston, then Chris Rogers.
Good evening, council members. On June 6, 2018, I was assaulted while commuting on light rail. While this was my first physical assault, I have been verbally and sexually harassed while commuting on light rail, while walking near my job in downtown Sacramento, while walking near my home in Sacramento, and even while entering my home in Midtown. Unfortunately, a blind eye has been turned to the issue of homeless violence. While not all of the perpetrators have been homeless, a majority were. I do not feel safe on light rail. I do not feel safe walking downtown. I do not feel safe in my neighborhood. Homelessness is an epidemic in our city, our state, and our country. The issue does not have a quick fix, and tonight I am not speaking on the issue of homelessness, but on the issues that have stemmed from the epidemic, both violence and waste. I have witnessed assaults on light rail, near light rail stops, even a woman being groped on light rail as she commuted home. Assaults and harassment have become the norm in downtown and midtown Sacramento. One evening while walking to 7th Capitol, I witnessed a person screaming and grabbing people near 8th Street. I saw a Sacramento City Police vehicle parked at K and 7th. I approached the vehicle, knocked on the window, and told the officers what was occurring. The officer's response, "Welcome to Sacramento." With a chuckle, the officer rolled up the window. All of the Wynn Park and every other park in the city of Sacramento have become makeshift campsites for violent and littering people. Needles, drugs, human waste, weapons, discarded food containers, and general debris are some of the items found daily in the parks near my home and in my alleyway. I live and work and volunteer in the city of Sacramento. However, I do not feel safe commuting or walking in the city of Sacramento. I am asking you, as city council members, to be the genesis of change, a new leaf in the city of trees, where families feel safe using our parks without fear of needles or drug paraphernalia in the park with their children, where people feel safe walking in downtown Sacramento, where commuters encourage other users to use light rail because it is a clean and safe commuting option.
Lindsay, your 2 minutes is complete. Will you make your final comment, please?
While the events of yesterday have distressed me, I will no longer turn a blind eye to the problem. I refuse to let violence take over my city. I am empowered for change, and I ask you to be that agent of change.
Yes, Lindsay, I really want to thank you for coming tonight and for the courage to speak up. And the public comment is not a time for a dialogue, but I want to ask what we can do to help you, because it makes me mad and feel bad that you've experienced all this. So I'm going to want to know what we can do to help you. I understand what you're calling for in terms of cleaning up some of the conditions that you have described, but please call on us, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next speaker. Speaker is Joyce Johnston, and Chris Rogers, then Kiran Kumar.
A visual aid. My name's Joyce Johnston. I share in your concerns about the critical housing shortage in our community. One approach to that's reflected in some new state laws that require cities to support the development of accessory dwelling units that are called secondary dwelling units in the city's code. But you may not know how the city planning department is refusing to follow those laws and inventing excuses to needlessly restrict construction of secondary dwelling units. And it is working. Take a look at the chart on page 5 of the study that I've copied for all of you. Of California's 6 largest cities, Sacramento is dead last in both the numbers of permits issued and in the abysmally small increase in permits issued under the new laws, and I think I know why. A year ago, I decided to invest in my small land park home by rebuilding my decaying old garage and adding a studio apartment above it. After a solid year of researching and planning, including 4 consultations with city's public counter for planning and building, these are the engineered drawings that my project has. And I think it looks like a pretty nice secondary dwelling unit constructed over a garage, wouldn't you agree? But not according to city planning. Although the city code allows SDUs to be constructed over an accessory structure, a garage, planning has a secret unwritten interpretation that an SDU cannot be constructed at the same time as a new garage, but can only be constructed over an existing garage. The word existing is not used in either the city code or the state law, and it imposes an additional restriction on SDUs in violation of the state law. No one's been able to explain to me why the city should prefer that I build over my decaying 77-year-old garage rather than building a new code-compliant garage with an SDU over it. Although the city is required to ministerially process my SDU permit application, it refuses to do so unless I build the SDU over my rotting garage. They will not review my application to build a new garage with a clean, modern, affordable apartment over it unless I pay thousands of dollars for a public deviation hearing.
Your 2 minutes is complete. Will you make your final comment, please?
City planning officials are unlawfully enforcing unwritten, implied restrictions that even public counter staff don't know, that the public cannot find, and that serve no purpose other than to restrict SDU development in our city.
Thank you. Councilmember Hanson had a comment, Vice Mayor.
Ms. Johnston, I'm your council member, and my staff will be down in a second, and we'd like to try to help you with this issue. We did make a significant number of reforms to our ADU ordinance just last year, but we're always looking for more ideas how to make it easier. So I'm going to give you my card, and then Matt Reed will be down in just a second.
I did work with your staff fairly extensively, I have to say, and was advised that I should pay the thousands of dollars for a deviation hearing. Basically, I got no response except that city planning says this is how they read it. It's implied that I can't build it at the same time. But I'd be happy to talk further if you think there's room for that.
Okay.
Our next speaker is Chris Rogers, then Kiran Kumar, then Fernando Nadal.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, good evening. I have 3 recent stories regarding the drug activity at the Starbucks and Walgreens area at Broadway. The first one is a father and son went to get a quick coffee in the morning. There was a smash and grab in the car, and they took the son's backpack. It had an iPad and hours of study work in the backpack. The father was desperate to get it back because his son really needed it. So he went over to the 76 station, which is actually next door to that area. And it's also a known drug camp. He saw his son's backpack and asked where the notebooks were. And they said if he paid them, that they would take him to where the notebooks were. And so he did. And they found it in the trash next to the Starbucks. So that's one story. He had to pay to get something from the criminals that actually took something from him. Number 2, Jonathan. This is Jonathan here. I've spoken about him before. He's a known drug user. A neighbor saw 4 men get out of the car and beat him up in broad daylight near the Starbucks and Walgreens parking lot. We assume it was drug related. Here he is a few days later, and he's no worse for wear, but there were no police at that time, so it's just something that happened, and then boom, it was over. Marty Way in 2nd Avenue. The family woke up to cigarette butts, needle caps, and discarded items on their front porch. They have small children. They came out. Luckily, they didn't see needles, so that was good. Several addicts were obviously hanging out and partying on that front porch overnight. Drug dealers and criminals have been gaining power in our neighborhood lately. We've seen a lot more activity. They thrive on what hurts our community, which is addicts, crime, and low police numbers and attention. So I just wanted to bring these 3 stories to you. We have some new stuff coming up, but that's it for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming.
My next speaker is Kiran Kumar, then Fernando Nadal, then Tammy Dreamer.
Mr. Kumar, welcome.
Mayor Steinberg, members of the council. Many of you have worked with me in the past on the topic of active transportation and making our city a more livable place. I'm here today not to talk about active transportation, walking and biking, but another extremely important social determinant of health, housing. My partner and I were recently lucky enough to purchase a home here in Sacramento. Working well-paying jobs, we still struggled immensely to save for a down payment while paying rent on an apartment where rents increased year after year. While I feel blessed to have been able to make this investment in my future, for every one of me, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of others who struggle here in Sacramento to afford decent, sanitary, and affordable housing. In my day job, I advocate for mobility options to provide people with cheaper alternatives to car ownership. However, with increasingly skyrocketing rents in the central city, we are seeing more and more residents being pushed to the fringes where they must drive a car to access jobs and other services. This in turn drives healthcare costs up as a result of increasing inactivity and chronic diseases. This is supported by evidence that Sacramento County's own Health and Human Services has demonstrated. In America, upwards of 70% of bankruptcies are a result of healthcare costs, and housing is not its own issue, but a universal need that, when addressed, enables us to succeed as individuals and as a community. I recognize the fantastic work of each of you in your respective council districts and across the city. However, we must act now to support efforts to curtail out-of-control rent increases that are facing so many of Sacramento's residents. Please support rent stabilization and just cause eviction protections for Sacramentans. Thank you.
Thank you.
First Fernando Nadell, then Tammy Dramer, then Jonah Paul.
Thank you for having me speak and approaching you. I appreciate the last time that I was here that I spoke and there was a response in regards to Curtis Park tenants. And what I want to say is that we did have a meeting and the people at Curtis Park were able to verbalize what the issues are. I hope that our councilman, when he comes to the next meeting, that he can stay during the whole time and give people the attention and the time that they need, because that did not happen on the last meeting, and kind of left early and missed out on a lot of things. So I hope that that happens. But I just want to say that the most afflicted is the most affected. The seniors, disabled, Section 8 people, low and low income. This include people who are residing in low income already. Section 8 individuals are being evicted from their apartments. Vouchers are not being accepted by apartments and single dwelling homes. Unfortunately, big money interests and lobbyists have donated thousands to you guys' campaign, and I feel have more of an ear than the people that are being afflicted. And I hope that when the people come to speak and say their stories to you, that it could touch your heart and that it could gain your support for the need of rent control and just cause evictions here in Sacramento. I'm here along with others, not to put you to task and not to make enemies, but to build support. You know, and I would suggest, since you're open to suggestions, that as you had an affordable housing tour done for legislatures and a lot of the people here.
Nadell, your 2 minutes is complete. Will you make your final comment?
Okay, that you have a housing tour for the council so that they can go to their districts and see the conditions in the apartments and the people that are being afflicted by these issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nadell.
Here is Tammy Dramer, then Jonah Paul, then Omega Brewer.
Hi, my name is Tammy Dramer, and I'm a resident of District 6. I've lived in the city of Sacramento for almost 50 years. And I have just two stories I'm going to tell you because when I was 27, on my 27th birthday, I was in a moving truck. And I counted back all the places that I had lived, and it was my 27th move. I wasn't an Army brat. I was just a normal Sacramento kid who grew up on 35th and 8th Street, graduated from Sacramento High School, went to City College, became a mother at a very young age, and rented a home while we worked, right? So on the 26th move, we actually had to move as sort of an emergency. I had my landlord on the phone asking me for a rent increase, increasing my rent. And while he was doing that, there was a for sale sign that said foreclosed going up outside the window. So we put up with realtors coming into our home while we were there on Saturdays and Sundays when we were sleeping in for just a little bit. And then we found another rental on C Street over by Alhambra. We moved into that house, which cost us a lot more money. And 3 months in, they started to do work on the house. They power washed the house, and all the water came in and ruined my daughter's baby pictures. My daughter Andy's back there. And then when I complained, they sent me an eviction notice. So here we were 3 months in from already losing our last and our deposit on the other house because it was foreclosed upon. There was no recourse, nobody to protect us from that. And so we had to come up with a first and last and moved in, lived there for 3 months, got an eviction notice, and had to move again. Thank you.
Final comment?
We need just cause even today. That's just my story from a long time ago. It's been happening to people ever since then with no protections. So please support rent stabilization, rent control, and just cause eviction protection for the people of Sacramento. Thank you.
Next speaker is Jonah Paul, then Omega Brewer, then Kitty Bolte.
Hello, my name is Jonah Paul. I'm here with the Democratic Socialists of America and Housing for Sacramento. Live in District 5, and I've been working for the last year and a half to get rent control and just cause eviction in Sacramento. I've talked to hundreds of tenants across the city, and the support for it is incredible. It's overwhelming. Almost every tenant you talk to, homeowner, it doesn't really matter who, they're going to support it. They'll sign a measure or a petition in favor of this. But I'm here to talk about one of the stories I've had as a tenant, because I didn't always live in District 5. I used to live in District 4, but I had to move. I'm going to have to move again to District 3. I'm going to keep bouncing around all of the districts until I can't live in Sacramento anymore, and I really don't want that to happen. So currently, just 2 months ago, I was given a 60-day eviction notice at my apartment. You know, for a tenant, that really it's devastating, because try to find an apartment right now, it's nearly impossible, especially when you've tried to make someplace your home, you've budgeted it out, and then you have to go to whatever the market demands currently. I had no recourse to fight it legally, but because I'm a well-known tenant activist, I had access to resources like a journalist who sent a simple request to my landlord, who happened to have a mental breakdown, and I lucked out. He thinks the CIA is trying to kill him. But that's 1 in a million, right? Most people are going to get evicted. They're going to lose their homes. So I ask you to support Just Cause and rent stabilization in the city of Sacramento. Thank you.
Omega Brewer, and then Kitty Bolte, then Robert Copeland.
Good evening, Council. I've known most of you for years. My name is Omega Brewer. I am the political coordinator with SEIU Local 2015, and SEIU Local 2015 is a proud member of the Housing for Sacramento Coalition. I think it's about sharing stories today, so I'm going to do something that I don't do very well. I advocate for others. I struggle to share my own story. Most of you know that I cared for my mother for 14 years before she passed away 4 years ago. What I don't talk about is some of the choices that I had to make to ensure that she had her medication, to ensure that she had the dignity of dying in her home, and what those choices cost me. I was a school employee when I cared for my mother. Classified employees don't make a lot of money. it came down many times in order for her to remain in her home, that I had to make choices that ultimately affected my credit when it came down to taking care of my mother's medication and her growing needs, as it was becoming clear that her condition was terminal, and paying a credit card bill or putting off some expenses. I would make all those choices gladly again. If I had those choices to make today, if my mother were here, I would gladly make those choices again. But the reality is it did cost me. I don't own a home today because of those choices. And what further impacts my ability to buy a home are the rent increases I've received. Since my mother's passing, my rent has gone up almost $500. And so that affects my ability to pay down my student loans, that affects my ability to pay off my debts, and so further puts my dream of home ownership further and further away. I know that I make good money, and I represent a lot of people who don't. And so if I have these choices that I've had to make and these consequences for choices that I would gladly make again, what are most Sacramentans doing?
Your 2 minutes is complete. Will you make your final comment?
Thank you. Rent stabilization is one tool in the toolbox, and that I'm urging you as a council to consider, as well as just cause evictions. Please support those options. Please work with us to find solutions that include multiple tools in the toolbox, like rent stabilization and just cause eviction for Sacramento. Thank you.
Next speaker is Kitty Bolte, then Robert Copeland, then LB Pixel, then Ron Elmsley.
Okay, good afternoon, Mayor Steinberg and members of the City Council. My name is Kitty Bolte. I live in District 5, and I'm here with the Sacramento Tenants Union. I'd like to first briefly note the removal of item 15 from the consent calendar today. As Sacramento Tenants Union noted in e-comments and in an email sent to all of the members of the City Council earlier today, we think that the termination and release of the inclusionary housing agreement for the Patterson subdivision is deplorable, as it would remove the ability of 9 families to have the opportunity to own their home, 9 low-income families in Sacramento, while lining the pockets of Senator Allen, or excuse me, Councilmember.
We pulled the item tonight. It was not voted on tonight.
Okay. And I'm here to say that we're glad you pulled the item. We hope you pulled it to reconsider it, because, as I said, we think it's deplorable, and that provision should remain for that subdevelopment. With the remainder of my time, I'd like to speak on the issue of rent stabilization here in Sacramento. Just in the short time that I've lived here, I've seen rents rise sort of astronomically. And as a young person working for a nonprofit that serves the region, as much as I like living here and I like doing my work, I'm worried about my ability to remain here. Moreover, recently I've been collecting signatures for rent stabilization in Sacramento, and have spoken with many other people who are impacted by the housing crisis here. Just this past Sunday, I was out collecting signatures, and I spoke with multiple elderly residents of an apartment complex in East Sacramento who've seen their rents rise an astonishing 150% in the last 2 years. And as you can imagine, that's untenable as an elderly person on a fixed income. Rent stabilization and just cause eviction protections are direly needed for maintaining the stability and integrity of our community here in Sacramento, and I'd encourage the council to support rent stabilization and just cause eviction protections for tenants here. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Ashby had a comment.
Thank you, Mayor. When we take up the Patterson item has been pulled, when we take it up, obviously, Councilmember Warren will be recusing himself because he's involved in the project. But I just wanted to encourage anybody who is here today, the way that this is written could be quite misleading. I just want to encourage you to take a look at it. My understanding of the request being made is actually that for people who come in and try to buy a home but don't qualify, that they would then be able to rent to low-income folks. So this actually is supposed to safeguard people who wouldn't be able to afford a home, even at the low-income rate, would still allow them the opportunity to get in as a renter. But we'll see when it comes back. Make sure that it lines up with what you think. That is certainly the assumption I have moving forward, and obviously Councilmember Warren won't be able to comment or vote on that item when it does come to the council.
Thank you for the clarification, Councilmember.
Next speaker is Robert Copeland, then LB, then Ron Elmsley.
Since I joined ACE in the Sacramento Tenants Union, I've seen people rent go up like $500 at one time. People getting evicted for no reason. And this is going to cause a lot of homeless people. Did you know, according to Tenants Together, Sacramento is the 5th largest city that's getting evicted in the state? People are getting evicted in the state of California? I bet you didn't know that. I was going to speak on issue 15 also, but I'm not since it's been pulled. And I live in District 4, and just last night on Facebook, I heard somebody said they're getting evicted today. I think this is wrong, and I've been collecting signatures for rent stabilization and just cause eviction too, because Sacramento badly needs it. Thank you.
Is LB, is LB here?
LB's not here.
Ron Elmsley, then Kathy Lester, then Olori Oyen Kamboon. Mr. Elmsley.
A few people commented about crime in their neighborhood and how they were literally helpless to get any response out of the police department. Measure U was supposed to bring back funding to both the police, the fire, and the parks. The fire department got their share, no problem. 522 is very good at negotiating contracts. They negotiate quite a few of them. In fact, they negotiate all of the fire contracts in the whole Sacramento area. Sacramento Metro at one time. The average wage was $132,000 or $135,000 a year. And then they hit hard times. And you know what the firemen did? They sacrificed. They went down to about $100,000. They were having to eat beans and rice noodles and all of these cheap things because $100,000, they were used to the $135,000. So they have a very restrictive work rule. What if the city of Sacramento had a work rule with the city police that it was a minimum of 2 officers per car? That would be horrible. Well, Sac Fire has the same thing, basically, requiring a fireman also being a paramedic, and they get the big bucks. And the fire trucks go out with 4 people or it doesn't roll. You created this by accepting money from Local 522, and they have...
Mr. Emsley, your 2 minutes is complete. Will you make your final comment?
Yes. And I know that they're all around with the barbecue truck, spreading joy. Well, the joy doesn't fall through to the citizens. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Kathy Lester, then Olori Oyen Kamboon.
Good afternoon, good people. First thing I would like for you to do is to stop and think and be realistic as to what's really going on today as representative for the people, by the people of Sacramento City, because it's alarming and it's a travesty that irregardless of race, creed, or even income, that people are finding themselves homeless due to the increase of rent or any type of affordable housing. You see so many of our young people, you know, that's our future. You got so many young people living on the streets today. You got so many mental illness that's living on the streets today. You have so many people who are, you would think at one time, young people used to afford to get a place together, but they can't even do that anymore because everything is so high. You have to have $2,000 to $3,000 just to get in a place. You got so many older people like myself who are being put in a position of being homeless today. It's terrible when you go on the streets. I heard about the travesty of the people, the different things that they're encountering on the streets today. And that's heartbreaking because Sacramento is a beautiful city. But it's realistic that homeless seems to be a way of life today. It doesn't matter what stability you are or whatever. There's something that has to be done, and you as our official capacity, take the time out and help people, help support whatever initiative that is so we can get rent control back here. What I like for each and every one of you to do is take the time out and walk in those individual shoes. Go out there and be amongst those people individually and trade places with them so they'll know. You'll know when you come back, you can say, I know what you're talking about. Thank you.
Next speaker is Olori Oyen Cambone, then Michelle Parisi, then Katie Valenzuela.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Olori Cambone. I am a member of ACE, and I am also a senior citizen, living in Curtis Park Apartments owned by Domus Corporation, in what you may call affordable housing. Yet our rents keep going up, and we are all on fixed incomes, some of us facing homelessness. Affordable tax credit properties owners are not solving the problem of homelessness. They are profiting on us, and we are suffering. So please note that we, as senior citizens of Curtis Park Apartments, would be the catalyst for sparking awareness to other senior citizens and even those in multifamily apartments that are affordable, that we need rent control. And we need to get rid of Costa-Hawkins law. Thank you.
Speaker is Michelle Parisi, then Katie Valenzuela.
Hello, good evening, Council. My name is Michelle Parisi. I am an advocate with Public Advocates, which is a civil rights law firm. So in my day job, I advocate for housing policy at the state level. And a lot of the conversations that we're hearing at the state level mirror the ones that we hear in Sacramento. And that's reasonable. We absolutely need to build. We need to build more housing. But as we build that housing, our boom and our great fortune has consequences. And the consequence of that right now is rising rent.
Is what?
Rising rents. So my mom used to live in Boulevard Park. She lived in a very modest apartment for 15 years. 2.5 years ago, I should say she's 74 now, and she worked till she was 70 years old because she had to, because she's not a woman of means. So she was on Social Security. She got a rent increase for $550 a month, above and beyond the rent that she was already paying, and she couldn't afford to stay in her home. And so she moved in with me, where she waited for 2 years as she was on the list for affordable senior housing, which thank God that she was able to get into. But I was listening to some of the other speakers who weren't so lucky, and I'm moved, very moved by the stories that I hear every day, and I hope that you are too. Please hear us out on rent control and just cause eviction, and hopefully we can do something together. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Katie Valenzuela, and then Ramel Pinzon is our final speaker.
Good evening.
Good evening. And I'm probably going to tear up, and it's probably not going to be pretty, so I'm just going to apologize in advance. Many of you know me because I used to come here a lot to advocate for my community of Oak Park. I did a lot of canvassing out there. I spent a lot of hours and a lot of my money fighting for what was best for my neighbors. What many of you don't know is that I actually no longer live in Oak Park. To escape an increasingly unsafe situation in my marriage, I used all of my savings for first and last month rent at an apartment in downtown Sacramento. It was the cheapest apartment I could find. It's barely afford. is barely something I can afford. I'm not saving anything right now. I am petrified that my dogs will chew something, or I will drop something or break something in my apartment, and I will not be able to afford to leave if I get evicted. And I make good money. I work at the Capitol. I'm not one of the people that you think of, that when you think of folks who are going to be really hit hard by the housing crisis we have in the city. And it's so sad to me, because we know that in a more equitable community where people who work in your Capitol and people who serve you your coffee and people who drive your buses can afford to live is a more resilient community. We know that where our economy is buffered from downturns, we know that our people are healthier and happier, and we're paying less money than when we end up on the streets, or when we end up on our friends' couches, or when we end up having to pay everything we can in our rent and can't afford to buy coffee on our way to work anymore because we can't afford it. And I think it pains me to see a SACB news alert that says that the folks that I love, and I have voted for many of you as I've lived across the city of Sacramento. I voted for Steve in his first campaign. I voted for Jay when I was in District 5. I voted for the mayor when you ran, to see that you don't see this problem, because I see it every day, and I'm your constituent, and I want to stay here. I don't want to leave my community. So I hope that you will hear us when we talk about just cause eviction, when we talk about rent stabilization. We're smart enough people that we can figure this out in the city of Sacramento, and your constituents, not those folks coming from the Bay Area, but your constituents are demanding that you do this. It's in our best
Alex Willie,
interest.
your 2 minutes is complete. Will you make your final comment?
That is it, and I did an ugly cry, so have a good evening.
Did a good job. Thank you. Thank you.
Romel Pinzon is our last speaker this evening. Romel?
Shalom and aloha to the rest of you here. I know that many of you are working tirelessly. I know that we have a homelessness problem here right now. And I truly admire you, Mayor Steinberg. I believe you to be what the Jewish community call a mensch. I truly do. But it doesn't change the fact that we need to quicken pace. I know that you had mentioned probably back in January that monies are delayed in legislature. I'm just kind of dumbfounded by that comment. You are probably one of the most brilliant legislative minds in the history of California. The golden boy, as they would call you. And what I'm dumbfounded by is how there's this massive delay. Please forgive my ignorant mind. I don't know what to say anymore. I really, really don't. This is what I can tell you. Elohim itbonen. Mayor Steinberg. Elohim itbonen. Shalom.
So that's our last speaker, but I do want to, I guess, comment on what the gentleman just said. I'm privileged to chair the Big 11 mayoral organization that has led the way in the Capitol in this year's budget to gain more funding to combat homelessness in all of our cities. And the governor has made revision, supported elements of our proposal. And over the next day or two, I expect the Legislative Budget Conference Committee to come forward with their final decisions, hopefully in agreement with the governor. And I'm confident in the end that the end result is going to be millions of additional dollars for Sacramento to combat this problem. In addition to what, as you know, we're doing, whole person care, $64 million for assertive outreach, our partnership with the county, with the mental health resources, the triage center. We got more work to do, there's no question. But yes, it does take time to unlock the funding at the state capitol, but it's getting unlocked and going as quickly as I can. I know that. Thank you. That ends the testimony for items not on the agenda. I want to thank all the members of the public who came out tonight to tell their stories and to participate. You're always welcome here, and it's civil, and we appreciate it. I know I do. Okay, let us get to the remainder of the agenda, and let us begin here with final item 16. Who is presenting file item 16? Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Arwen Watt with the Finance Department. The item before you this evening is the annual public hearing for the Village Garden Landscape Maintenance District. The district provides funding for maintenance and repair of masonry walls, landscaping, an irrigation system for the areas within the North Point and Norwood subdivisions. The proposed fiscal year 2018 and 19 assessment of $113.50 per residential unit per year is equal to the assessment for the current year and is also 39% below the maximum allowable assessment of $186.65 per residential parcel per year. Staff's recommendation is to conduct the public hearing and upon conclusion, adopt the resolution in your packet that will confirm the assessment diagram and levy the assessment for fiscal year 2018 and 19 for the Village Garden Landscape Maintenance District. Staff is available for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Yes, Councilmember Warren.
I'd like to open and close the public hearing and move the item.
Moved in second. We don't have any public testimony on this item. Thank you very much. All in favor, please say aye. 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 Opposed, abstain. That passes on a vote of 8-0. Let's move to items 16 and 17, well, one at a time. These are the public hearing. I'm sorry. I'd like to do it again. I enjoyed it. How about item 17? Good. Go.
And this item before you is the annual public hearing for the Power Inn Road Maintenance District. This district provides funding for the maintenance of frontage improvements along Power Inn Road between 14th Avenue and the Regional Transit overcrossing located just south of Folsom Boulevard. The proposed fiscal year 2018 and 19 assessment of $2.54 per linear foot of frontage is equal to the current year. Staff's recommendation is to open the public hearing and upon conclusion, adopt the resolution in your packet that will confirm the assessment diagram and levy the assessment for fiscal year 2018 and 19 for the Power Inn Road Maintenance District. We're available for any questions you may have.
Okay, we have Councilmember Guetta on this item.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to tell you a little story about Power Inn Road, but I'll wait for another day. I'd like to move to open and close the item.
Let that be a lesson. Okay, this has been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed. I'd hear your story, by the way.
You will later.
Okay.
He has more than one story.
Yes, I can relate. We move to file item 18. Didn't we hear this? Oh, this is the response, okay. You didn't budget an audit, I'm sorry. Okay. Please.
Good evening, Mayor Steinberg and members of the City Council. Jorge Ceguera, your City Auditor. With me today is Jordan Sweeney, who was primarily responsible for completing the audit. The recommendation that is before you is that you pass a motion approving the Department of Utilities Workplace Safety Audit. The Office of the City Auditor provides the city with objective, independent, and reliable information regarding the city's ability to meet its goals and establish an adequate system of internal controls. In accordance with our approved audit plan, the objective of this audit was to assess the controls related to workplace safety in the Department of Utilities and to identify areas of risk and opportunities for improvement. Our scope and methodology included reviewing policies and procedures, analyzing and tracking the reporting of incidents and workers' compensation claims, reviewing training records, and reviewing best practices. The City of Sacramento strives to maintain a work environment that protects the health of employees and prevents accidental injury to employees. To realize this goal, the Department of Human Resources Risk Management Division provides support to city departments through their workers' compensation and loss prevention units. Environmental health and safety staff in the loss prevention unit consult with city departments on workplace health and safety issues. Between fiscal years 2013 and 2017, employees in the Department of Utilities filed nearly 300 workers' compensation claims with a total incurred cost of over $4 million. Given this level of expense, there may be opportunities to improve the department's workplace safety practices as outlined in this report. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, otherwise known as OSHA, is a federal agency that sets and enforces health and safety standards in the workplace. Cal-OSHA is the state of California's OSHA-approved agency that investigates and enforces health and safety requirements in California. Cal-OSHA assesses civil penalties for noncompliance with standards. Penalties can be up to $127,000 per violation. During the audit of the Department of Utilities Workplace Safety, our office conducted an anonymous employee survey to get a sense of the department safety culture. The results of this survey were generally positive. Based on the results, it appears that employees feel they have the necessary training and tools to perform their job safely and feel safe in reporting safety concerns. However, job site inspections conducted during the audit were not in line with some of the survey responses. This report contains 5 findings. The first finding is that the Department of Utilities incident rate has been trending downward, which is good. The second finding is that the department lacks sufficient controls over the administration and use of safety and personnel protective equipment. The third finding deals with the Utilities Department being able to strengthen compliance with vehicle safety requirements. The fourth, with the department's ability to enhance compliance with city safety policies, state laws, and federal regulations. And the last finding is that the department should implement health and safety best practices to reduce risk and improve accountability. In the following slides, we'll illustrate a couple of specific examples of issues we found during the audit. Although the Department of Utilities is not required to formalize their implementation plans, it appears that a more formal approach could enhance accountability and ensure health and safety hazards are addressed in a timely manner. For example, in December of 2015, the city's Risk Management Division conducted a site inspection of sump 96 in response to an employee falling through a damaged grate and sustaining minor injuries. The Risk Management Division identified numerous health and safety issues and provided corrective recommendations for the Department of Utilities to implement. By December of 2017, the damaged grate had been fixed, but other hazards identified in the 2-year-old site inspection had not yet been addressed. As seen in the figure on the left, tripping hazards at sump 96 have gone unaddressed for more than 2 years. In our opinion, a lack of formal implementation plans has also contributed to the Department of Utilities being non-compliant with OSHA fall protection requirements at some locations. This figure to the right illustrates examples of haphazard fall protection controls at various Department of Utility sites. The Department of Utility uses gas detectors to monitor air quality to ensure the air is safe to breathe for employees performing work in certain locations. Failure to properly monitor air quality could be catastrophic and potentially lead to employee death.
I want to stop you there, because this is the one that came up during the Budget and Audit Committee, and this is one, I just want to make sure we're focused on this, right? There are many audit items around health and safety. Certainly the fall protection, as you just described, is one of them. But this issue of gas monitoring, I want to make sure that tonight we leave this item in this meeting confident that that issue is being addressed assertively and aggressively. Because you can just imagine tragedy. And now we've been told and warned. So I want to know, I know that's in the response piece, but There are a lot of findings here, some more important than others. I can't think of another finding more important than that particular issue, and I want to make sure there's some focus on it, please.
Yeah, and at the conclusion of our presentation, the Director of Utilities will come up and address
Just
that.
wanted to flag it.
Very good. Based on our review of gas detector data in INET, we found data accuracy errors, missing data, and that employees may not be using gas detectors in accordance with manufacturers' recommendations. The figure on the left illustrates that as of November 20th, 2017, the Department of Utilities may have up to 50 gas detectors that have not uploaded their data onto INET in more than a year. Missing gas detector data hinders the department's ability to effectively manage their gas detector equipment. In addition, the department is limited in its ability to correctly identify trends in gas types and levels present at various locations that could potentially create hazardous work environments. As seen in the figure on the right, based on our sample, the Department of Utility employees use gas detectors nearly 300 times without first performing a bump test. The manufacturer recommends performing a bump test before each day's use to test whether the gas detector is functioning correctly. Additionally, we found that gas detectors were used more than 80 times without performing manufacturer recommended monthly calibrations to allow gas detectors to self-adjust so that the sensors retain the ability to correctly measure accurately and display gas concentration values. Failure to use gas detectors in accordance with manufacturer recommendations raises concerns regarding the effectiveness of the gas detectors to detect hazardous gases. Failure to detect hazardous gas levels could be fatal to employees. This audit makes 22 recommendations aimed at improving compliance and enhancing accountability. The Department of Utilities is in agreement with the findings and recommendations made in this report and has already began implementing some of the recommendations. For example, the department has contacted a consultant to provide incident investigation training to supervisors. Additionally, the department has developed various forms and templates as part of establishing formal processes. The Office of the City Auditor would like to thank the Department of Utilities and the Human Resources Department for their time and cooperation during the audit process. This audit helps demonstrate the Department of Utilities' commitment to continuous improvement. In accordance with the City Auditor's fiscal year 2019 audit plan, our next audit for the Department of Utilities will be of their vehicle fleet. That concludes our presentation. We're available to answer any questions should you have any.
Okay, Councilmember Warren has a question.
Yeah, question and a comment. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, this audit, I think, has caught my attention, and I know that Mr. Busef, that's here in the audience, will know what I'm talking about. But there's a business in District 2 that has had some challenges with trying to identify if they were accurately being either assessed or the determination was, I guess, inconclusive at this time as to whether they are leaking, you know, potentially hazardous gases. And I am given information and led to believe that it's not potentially serious. However, it's found itself in the Business Journal most recently, and it's an ongoing concern. You know, I'm still getting calls and questions about it, and so I don't know if Mr. Busef can actually speak to how this audit ties into with some of the findings of the business in District 2, or what the implications are. Because if what I'm hearing is that there are potentially hazardous gases and our equipment is either malfunctioning or we're not operating it properly, to my knowledge, there's not been any notices to residents in District 2. And on the other side of that, if these gases are not harmful or the readings are inaccurate, then it is putting an undue stress or unnecessary stress on this particular business. And so I'm not sure if you're prepared to answer it, but if not tonight, I would think this is something we need to address right away to determine whether either the readings are accurate that are coming from the Dr. Pepper 7-Up plant in District 2, or if there are some relevant issues that we need to address right away, either on the public safety side or on the application side from the city. And so, I mean, if you're prepared to speak to it, I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you, Councilmember Warren. Bill Busaith, Director of the Department of Utilities, City of Sacramento. I haven't prepared, but I can speak a little bit to that. We have been working for several years with the company to verify what they're discharging and what impact that's having on especially one of our sumps. We have had some trouble with some of our monitoring equipment at that site, and we've been working over a period of time to get to a point where we are comfortable that the monitoring data that we're getting at that site is accurate. There still is some question about that, and we're working with Regional Sanitation District, who permits the discharge of the company, to get to a point where we're comfortable that the monitoring that we're doing out there is accurate. In the meantime, we are being very careful about the maintenance that we're doing at the site to make sure that we're comfortable that the working environment is safe for our employees.
So are you saying that it's, so what's being detected is at a safe enough level, thereby, you know, the city should not notify residents or employees either of the plant and or of the city at this time?
We still are at a point where when we need to do maintenance, we are asking the company for a day on Sunday. They're always down on Sunday, and so we normally try to coincide our maintenance with the time that they're not discharging into the system. We are regularly monitoring the gas levels in the facility, which is below ground, and also outside of the facility, in the area above the facility. We have not gotten high readings in the area above the facility, but
I guess, is it at a level where residents should be notified?
And that's what I was just trying to say is that while we do have question about the air quality in the facility, which is below the ground, we have not had indications that and it's enclosed, so we have not had indications that the air quality above the facility is of a concern.
Who's going to make that determination?
Well, we do gas monitoring. We work with our fire department, who is responsible for issuing stop work notices and things like that if there are dangerous circumstances. And so we work close with them, and they're the ones that would make the determination if something is a hazard either to our employees or to the public.
Well, I think it, time is of the essence, because I heard you say this has been going on for several years. I know it was first brought to my attention a couple years ago when the plant was shut down, and the plant, through some fix, was able to become, back operational. And I had heard nothing else of additional tests up until just recently that were indicating that there were now, gases that are still of concern. And then I hear from the auditor that we're having problems accurately, detecting and analyzing information. And then on the business side, the operator is very concerned about being forced to shut down unnecessarily. But it's in their best interest to get this resolved as well as it is to the city and our residents. And so I think we need to put a sense of urgency on this entire situation, analyzing and a solution, either a plant-operated solution if it indeed is something that they're causing, or if it's a city issue, then we need to get the right equipment, the right people out there to determine really what's going on, and then have a more permanent fix to this issue. And so I'd like to ask either a report back to my office or report back to council, because this is something that could potentially impact, a significant number of people in the city. And if not them, it could also impact one of the largest businesses. I think this is the West Coast distribution facility for 7-Up and Dr. Pepper. So,
I want to follow up on this. Is
Sure,
this
go right
okay?
ahead.
I mean, this is one that so we've got to get into a tiny bit of detail here. The auditor's report refers to a July 7th, 2017 incident involving the Northern Mariana Islands, not Sacramento, but it's pointed as essentially a red flag here about what could happen, where 3 employees of a company were asphyxiated by hydrogen sulfide gas in the Northern Mariana Islands. And this is one of the gases the Department of Utilities, in fact, monitors for. And so then you go back to the various pieces of the audit, and the audit points out several things. Number one, that it is unclear who within the Department of Utilities is responsible for managing the department's gas monitoring programs. So, Director Busath, who is responsible for managing the department's gas monitoring program?
It is our superintendents. Ultimately, it's our division managers in the O&M divisions, our water division, and the wastewater drainage division.
And what training do they have or have they received around how to properly monitor gas levels?
So can I just launch into what we've done to,
yes, please.
To respond? Yeah. I've got a slide here, but
okay.
So let me just tell you that there was 2 things that the Budget and Audit Committee asked us to do. One was to prioritize the recommendations, and the other was to report back specifically on recommendation 7, which was the implement policies and procedures for gas monitoring equipment. So for recommendation 7, what we have done is so what you see there is one of our gas meters. These are the ones that we use on a regular basis to test the air in any kind of confined space or any space where there is some question about the quality of the air before staff enters. In the past, staff has been required to do what's called a bump test, and you see the bump test.
Describe a bump test, please.
Basically, they just put it in that case and push a button, and it runs a test on the meter by putting a couple of different gases into the meter and verifying that's measuring them at the correct level.
And the audit report says that these bump tests found that employees using gas detectors nearly 300 times without performing bump tests and more than 80 times without performing monthly calibrations. So you say that's now being done daily and
what we're requiring now is the bump tests. Again, in the past, we required that the bump tests be done prior to usage. Now we're requiring that the bump tests just be done every day.
Every day.
And
how are you verifying that it's being done every day?
So reports are automatically generated by the equipment, and they are being reviewed weekly by our supervisors and superintendents to verify that these bump tests are being done.
Has there been an articulated consequence for failure to perform the daily bump test?
Yes, there will be discipline. We haven't had instances yet where that has happened.
And that's been clearly communicated to those responsible? Okay.
What happens when the other benefit of the daily bump tests is that the 30-day calibrations are also automatically done.
Okay.
Because the machine detects when it needs to be calibrated, and that is done. We are also continuing to review our policies with regard to the gas monitoring equipment and updating them. We are doing training in the months of June and July, and when the policies are updated, that will lead to further training. This obviously, as you have articulated, is a very serious issue. And
I just want to ask Mr. Oseguera, if I can, whether or not, as you hear that response and understand what the department's implementation plan is in response to the audit, are you satisfied with what you've heard?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, for the question. Yes, we're satisfied with the plan that the department has laid out. And as we normally do with all of our audits, on every 6 months, we will be following up on the actual recommendations to ensure that the implementation has taken place. We will do some sample testing to verify whether or not the implementation is satisfactory. And then based on that, we'll report back to council whether or not it was implemented. And so you can expect a report from us soon that would provide you that information.
Thank you for the responsiveness. Appreciate it, Director. It's important.
One more.
Yep, one more.
So we're also aggressively implementing all of the recommendations. Some of them are a little lower priority because of a lower risk. We're especially aggressively, these top 4 that were identified that I showed you here. These were the top 4 highest risk recommendations. We're aggressively implementing all of these recommendations, as well as the other lower risk or lower priority recommendations. We anticipate full implementation on all of these, except for a couple that are going to require a long term or a long time to implement. We will, other than those, we will be implementing all of these in the next 6 months or so. With regard to your comments, there was a period of time when we were allowing 7-Up to work with county health to on their operation and their discharge. We've gotten to a point now where we are continuing to work with regional sanitation to come up with a monitoring strategy that we're comfortable is giving us accurate information. And that's what we're going to be meeting with Fran when she comes back a week from tomorrow. And then we're going to be able to have some more detailed information for you on how we're going to move forward on that.
How the things I'm interested in, I think, at this point, are how quickly we can come to a comprehensive understanding of the issue, the solution, and I need to know if this is a public safety issue right away. So as quickly as possible, we need to understand that this will be something that either we will have to communicate to the people that are impacted or not, and if not, then I think we need to communicate that to 7-Up as well. So,
agreed.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Okay, thank you very much. That was an important item. That concludes. No? Vote. We have to vote to accept the audit. Yes, of course. Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained. The audit's accepted. Thank you for your good work, and to your team. Appreciate it. All right. That ends the formal council agenda tonight. Are there council ideas and questions? Now, I want to begin by, even though I know the election results are not final and there are still votes to count, I want to congratulate all of my colleagues here for their apparent victories here in the recent elections. It is overwhelming. It is going to be terrific honor and privilege to continue working with this great team. And I know you all worked very hard, as did your opponents. I just want to say, no, votes are still being counted, but for your apparent victories, a hearty congratulations. Councilmember Jennings.
Thank you, Mayor. I too look forward to working with this great team, and I know a great team when I see one, and I'm excited about the opportunity to continue to work with this team in particular. So, and that includes having you as our leader. So I appreciate it very much. A couple of announcements I want to make the public aware of. On Saturday, the 9th of June, is the summer reading kickoff. It's going to take place at the Robbie Waters Greenhaven Library from 10 to 1 p.m. And this year's theme is Reading Can Take You Everywhere. Don't miss the Ohana Dancers, Parlor the Puff Cream Ice Cream, galactic games and prizes, and the celebration is not only for children, it's for adults as well, because we want to encourage all to enjoy their summer reading time. You can check out the Facebook page on the Friends of Robbie Waters Pocket Greenhaven Library for more information. And my last reminder is the 4th of July is approaching, and if you'd like to participate in the District 7 Parade, Festival, or the Pet Pageant, please email Yvette Cumberland at ycumberland@cityofsacramento.org, or you can call our office at area code 916-808-7007.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Harris.
Thank you, Mayor. You know, we kicked off Pops in the Park on Saturday, and it was a heck of a show. The band idea team was really pretty remarkable. What made me really happy about that is the members of this band grew up going to Pops in the Park concerts. So we've been at this for 27 years, and these guys were in their 20s, and a lot of them had grown up going to Pops concerts. So it's quite a circle to close there. Anyway, this next Saturday, we do our second Pops concert at Bertha Henschel Park. It goes from 6 to 9 p.m., but we'll be there selling beer and food starting at 5 p.m., and the band is AKA Live. They're a lot of fun, great dance band. And then next Saturday, June 16th at McKinley Park, this is one you don't want to miss, Jessica Malone, a regional singer here who's kind of undiscovered but is rapidly becoming a very well-known artist, will be playing. So that's all pretty exciting. This Saturday, June 9th, we're going to have a king-size community picnic at Gardenland Park, which is 310 Bowman Avenue, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. with basketball clinics given by the Kings players. This, again, for me is very exciting because Gardenland Park is one of these stories of resurrection from a neglected and abused park into something that the community has embraced and has become sort of a focus of the Gardenland community, so that's pretty exciting. Fire Station 4 is going to have an open house again this Saturday, June 9th, from 2 to 4 p.m., and that is at 3145 Granada Way.
Thank you so much, Councilmember. Councilmember Guerra.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'd like to thank Councilmember Jennings, our police chief, our interim fire chief and assistant city manager, and all of the teams that we have working on the illegal firework abatement program. We had a good press conference and an education announcement about our illegal firework abatement effort. As 4th of July gets close, we want to make sure that we're going out there and being safe. If folks want to, we have an abatement program. If you did purchase illegal fireworks and you want to turn them in, or if you need to report the use of illegal fireworks, you can call 264-5471. 264-5471. We want to be out there, be safe for our neighborhood. They have caused fires in the past and hurt kids, and also our animals and our pets. So thanks for all that work effort, and we'll be doing more in this 6-week program. A few events here. Father's Day Market this Saturday, June 9th, from noon to 6 p.m. Over at Upcycled Pop. We're going to have a fun event over at 7300 Folsom Boulevard. It's going to be there's going to be a fashion show, home designs, a lot of artists and artwork out there. It's going to be a great day out there at the Father's Day pop-up market. Fire Station 10 open house over off of Fruit Ridge. That's Saturday, June 16th at 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. at Fire Station 10 on Fruit Ridge and 66th Street. Get to know your local fire station. This Wednesday at we're also going to have June 20th, next Wednesday. That's the following Wednesday. Oh my gosh, College Greens food truck, June 20th at 5 p.m. at Glenbrook Park. If you get there, also you can join us also at the ribbon cutting for the Glenbrook Park, Dog Park, and Little League improvements at the park as well on that same day. If you are in Tahoe Park, though, we're also going to have our Tahoe Park East Command Cafe with our local police department police officers at 6:30 at Tahoe Park as well. Come and get to know your local Sacramento police officers. And then, last but not least, June 22nd is the Tahoe Park Food Trucks, where we have our office hours that day as well. So a lot of activity. Summer's coming. Stay safe and fun. And thank you for that update, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. Thank you, Councilmember. Last but not least, Councilmember Warren.
Thank you, sir. I just wanted to say that on Saturday we had our 5th annual Taco Festival. It was a huge success, and I want to thank my colleague from D6, Councilman Guerra, who came out and hung out with us for a while and ate some tacos, and our city attorney came out as well and had a good time as well. So we had a huge turnout. This was the biggest one yet. I don't know how many people came, but the streets were full. All the vendors made money, as well as the businesses that opened for the Taco Festival. So we look forward to having next year's festival as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. If there's nothing else to come before the City Council, we are adjourned.